What is
I'm
this?
gonna open Demolition Invader. I just want to open and play with their little hats, little masks, and the belts. And like Crush can turn on when Vader runs in. Crush has got a new partner!
You are 40 years old.
Oh, man. Why you gotta put it on me like that for? Shit.
No, that's going to be the intro.
All right. Episode 17.
Hey, thank you guys for listening to Middle Aged and Mediocre. I'm Cash.
I'm 40.
And your name is?
Oh, Joel.
Joel. That's
Yes.
40-year-old Joel over there. He's been talking for 20 minutes now about opening one of my toys.
Yeah.
They're called action figures, actually. But
Fucking wrestlers, man.
man, he's eyeballing it hard tonight.
Demolition, they got the masks.
Yeah, it's a 3-pack.
Yep. I had it at one point, and I traded it to you for the Bebop and Rocksteady Pops.
Yeah, that's right.
Amongst other things. Yeah, that's
We're
right.
adults, man.
Yeah.
And we're talking about trading toys. You see that sweet-ass Notorious B.I.G.?
Yeah, I did. It's all
Pre-ordered that.
Little time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal price? Was it a little
That was
more?
$15.
That's not bad.
But I guess, like, so, like, you're not actually getting an album or anything.
Yeah, you just get the pop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I thought, like, when I first saw it, I thought it was, like, a vinyl
Oh,
record.
okay.
With the, and
That
I was
would
like,
be
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Then when I saw the price was $15,
You're like,
I was like, oh, that's still cool. But
yeah, you can get the vinyl separate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, then it's like $40.
Yep.
So-
Vinyl's a little more expensive.
Whatever, man. I just,
Whatever.
you know,
Put it on wax.
still talking about pop vinyls in
Yep.
2020. I was out of the game
Wrestlers.
for a long time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of the game. I don't buy any new ones.
What did I get? I got like Rob Zombie the other day because Amazon had it for like $3.
That's about
So,
right for Rob
was like,
Zombie.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dig through the ditches.
burn through the witches.
Dracula. Pickup truck? What is it?
What?
I don't know.
Pick up Dracula in your pickup
My
truck.
pickup truck!
That's not it.
No, okay. I'm sorry. Rob Zombie, if you're listening to this, man,
You don't
fuck
Rob
you for
Zombie?
Halloween 2. I like Rob Zombie. I don't like Halloween 2.
No, I don't like his Halloween movies.
The first one I liked.
Yeah, I
I
didn't.
didn't hate it.
It was too much of like let's.
There's like a string of movies right there where they tried to like give too much backstory.
Yeah, I
Like they want you to care about Michael Myers. Like no,
just
man.
make Michael Myers a fucking killing machine, man.
I don't want to feel
That's
bad
the whole
for him.
point.
I liked some of the scenes in it, but yeah, I get that part.
I don't remember that well.
Let's
But-
watch it real quick.
Okay, we'll be right back, guys.
All right.
We're gonna watch Rob Zombie's Halloween remake,
And play with Demolition.
and we're back. Movie of the year,
Episode 17.
Yeah, we're here with episode 17. Last week, we brought you Joel brought you the story of Armin Muse.
Yep, and Bernie.
It was a true love
Sausage Fest.
sausage fest.
Talk about a sausage
Yeah.
fest. And I'd like to apologize to our listeners. It was a whole episode about eating dick. We didn't say pee hole once.
Yeah, I don't.
We really
know.
dropped the balls there.
We did. We really did. I mean, there was a lot of points where we could have
Yeah.
really dove into a pee hole.
We need to re-edit that episode and just add like 74 pee holes.
For all you know, there was subtle pee holes. You just subliminal.
Play it backwards.
Subliminal pee
If
holes.
you guys play that episode backwards, it's all pee hole.
Our new band, by the way, is called Subliminal Pee Holes.
Good.
But yeah, so that you can go back and listen to that episode 16, Meet Cute.
Meet cute.
Yeah, it's the Armin Muse love story.
I liked it.
So it was a good episode. It was my favorite episode we've done so far.
I remember it.
And now it's all downhill from there.
Yep. Set the bar pretty high.
Yeah. So that one got a little, that one was a tale of cannibals.
Yep.
And cutting off penises.
Yep.
And trying to eat the penises.
We learned that you can't bite through a penis.
I mean, I think we already knew that.
Armin couldn't.
Armin learned.
Yeah.
Back then.
Would they ever see was it Oz, where it's like, if you put that in my mouth, I'll bite down and... Oh, no, Shawshank Redemption. That's how
yeah.
Andy Dufresne got out of it, because he said he would bite down and then...
They still beat the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was still implied that he
just didn't get anything in the mouth.
I think he still did.
He took it in the...
I mean, they did the pan out of the camera. And I think
I don't think
he
he
was
took
on his
anything in the
knees,
mouth.
man.
Oh, yeah?
and they were in front of him, and they were beating the shit out of him.
Man, he talked all that talk about biting it.
Yeah, he can say what he wants, but they punch you in the jaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Andy Dufresne sucked a dick, you know what I'm saying?
And then he crawled through a football field worth of sewer.
Andy Dufresne was my best friend. I can't do Morgan
can't.
Freeman at all. I feel
like we should stop.
I should have even tried.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm thinking. I can barely do any impressions, let alone an 80-year-old black man.
I don't see. Yeah. Oh,
what the fuck is my phone?
Damn.
What are we taking a look at, phone?
All right.
Whoa.
The phone's ready for episode 17.
That's about enough of that
wants
shit.
to take a look at you doing a Morgan Freeman impersonation.
I like when my phone talks to me.
I don't like it when my phone talks. That's awful, too. I don't even know what I'm trying to do.
Let's get on with the story today.
Episode 17.
So, Joel.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming you flew over here tonight using your jetpack?
I did. I retired my helicopter after Kobe. R.I.P.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2020, so of course we all zip around everywhere on jetpacks now.
Yeah.
Common knowledge.
Sure.
The Jetsons was a documentary from the future, and the future is now.
Rosie, the robotic maid?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have jetpacks, actually.
No.
Or flying
I did see a
cars.
video on Facebook of a jetpack, but I think you have to be on water to do it because it's like propelled by the water or something.
Oh, we're going to get into it.
Okay.
Between Roombas and sex dolls, we do have access to Rosie the Robot, basically, though.
Yeah.
And although the Jetsons didn't get a lot right, I think we can all still agree that it would be pretty badass if we all had our own personal jetpacks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'd be pretty awesome, right?
Sure.
For three friends, an obsession with jetpacks would end in murder and violence. This is the story of the Jetpack Murder.
The Jetpack Murder.
The Jetpack Murder.
I'm kind of glad I never got into jetpacks now. I didn't know that jetpack life
could
was
lead
like
to
that.
such jetpack life's a dangerous life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Careful what you sign up for.
Science fiction action heroes like Buck Rogers and Commando Cody brought the rocket belt into the public eye, and movies and TV shows like Thunderball, which was a James Bond film, Lost in Space, The A-Team, Minority Report, and The Rocketeer, have kept jetpacks in the public eye. Yeah, you remember The Rocketeer?
And 8-year-old boys have kept jetpacks in the Rocketeer in the public eye. Yeah, I remember The Rocketeer.
It was like,
I remember wanting to see it really bad, and I saw it, and it just was meh.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever actually watched all of it.
I tried because
I
was like a little kid. And it had
a ton of hype behind it. I don't know which fast food place had the rights to, but I just remember it was
everywhere.
It was a huge marketing campaign, and
then they opened up and just
it was just
jetpack kind of failed.
Seems like anytime they try to revive a movie from a 50s story or something like that, it's just never not like that kind of if it's just a good story, it's a good story.
Yeah, you can't make a jetpack the whole point of a movie. I don't think.
It's even rumored that the Nazis devoted many resources to a project that would equip their stormtroopers with a rocket pack.
Fucking Nazis.
It was going to be called the Himmelsstürmer.
Yeah.
Which is, they called it, that's basically them calling it the Sky Stormer, but literally it's the Heaven Stormer. So there was some rumors that they were doing this. They were said to have actually successfully built the dual rocket machine that allowed troops to leap up to 180 feet in the air.
Damn.
But if so, they were never used in military action.
What would you do once you're up in the air? Because then you're just 180 feet away from your enemy, where you have to shoot further. I would think.
I mean, to escape maybe, or to get to high ground.
I'll jump up real high.
Yeah, I mean, you could get to high ground pretty quick.
Probably dunk a lot easier.
You could definitely. The Nazis would have been great at basketball.
Yep.
They didn't have a good reputation for basketball, really. So,
Dirk, is he German? He's not Nazi. I think he's
right,
Dirk.
just because. Yeah, I mean, is he German?
I don't know.
Nowitzki? I don't know. I think he. In 1952, a civilian radar technician named Thomas Moore would actually build and test the first official jetpack. Moore had actually been a traveling companion of former Nazi scientist Werner von Braun, who would join the ranks of America's space program during Operation Paperclip. So you know about Operation Paperclip?
I do not know about Operation Paperclip.
So after the war, the entire reason America got to the moon first.
Yeah.
Is because we basically enlisted all of the Nazi scientists into our space program. It was called Operation Paperclip.
Wow.
So, yeah, we got all these fucking Nazi scientists who had participated in awful, awful things and made them a part of our space programs.
Got us to the moon.
Like NASA, that was basically just ran by Nazis.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and they called it Operation Paperclip. Von Braun would even later go on to work for the Walt Disney Corporation, designing theme park rides, working with feature film animators, and hosting television programs.
Oh, man, what a life.
Yeah, goddamn Nazi. There's so much about World War II that is so fucking crazy from our side of things. Like, we didn't... It could be a whole episode of, like, we didn't even want to be involved. Like, I love all of the propaganda that's around.
I'd like a World War II episode. I just watched Fury.
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't know if you meant the movie Fury or if you were watching the Fury Wilder fight.
No, I was watching the movie Fury.
Okay, it was a good movie.
We should do an episode about WW2.
Dude, there's so much to it. I'm cool with that.
Cool.
There's so much shit to it. So it was also Von Braun who helped Thomas More win a $25,000 U.S. Army grant.
Damn, that's a lot of money for
to build his rocket pack that he called the Jet Vest.
The Jet Vest.
Moore not only invented it, but he did the test flight as well. Staying tethered to the ground by a metal frame, Moore was able to propel himself off the ground. Moore's dream would ultimately collapse when funding ran out, though.
Oh.
So he basically had like a metal box surrounding himself, then it was held to the ground, but he was able to
get a little elevation.
Yeah. In 1953,
he got high.
He got high. 1953, Mr. Wendell, if you're nasty. Wendell Moore was working on the X-Plane project, which was the project that produced the jet that Chuck Yeager would break the sound barrier in.
All right.
Sound barrier. Moore thought he could take two of the miniature rockets off the X-Plane and strap them to the back of a pilot.
Jesus.
Quote, I could stick two of those on a man's back and make him fly like Buck Rogers.
I like picture him like with a beer in his hand, like Uncle Rico maybe from Napoleon Dynamite. He's just like, I'm gonna take two of those rockets, strap them to his back.
Man, you'll be cool as shit. You see them rockets? You can just put them on Ted's back.
Get the Nazis. Let's work on this.
Yeah. He called his invention the small rocket lift device. Basically, gas would be forced at high pressure through downward-facing exhaust tubes that would lift the pilot. After many test flights and adjustments, Moore achieved a stable flight 15 feet above the ground in 1959.
Whoa.
So, like 15 feet, I mean, you're up above, like it's 5 feet above a basketball hoop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a small...
You can jump up to the second story of a place.
Yeah. The U.S. Army took notice of Wendell Moore's invention and contracted the company he worked for, Bell Aerospace. It was called like Bell Aeronautics and then Bell something, but it's eventually Bell Aerospace, to build a small rocket lift device and demonstrate its abilities. Wendell Moore was made director of the project, which had a budget of $150,000. Having access to more equipment greatly improved Moore's design, which he was now calling the Rocket Belt.
The Rocket Belt.
The Bell Rocket Belt used 3 tanks and 2 downward-facing pipes that were connected to rocket nozzles. The pilot would have handlebars for steering and hand grip controls for the throttle. So I think,
God damn.
Like you were saying that you saw a video of like the guy on water.
Yeah.
Like you've probably seen. Everybody's probably seen what this design is.
Yeah.
Like if you just imagine a person, and the handlebars kind of make like an upside down U.
Yeah.
And he's holding on to him, and he's being so it's like that design.
Yeah.
Yeah. The motor ran on hydrogen peroxide, which I'm kind of confused. So I don't know if it was hydrogen peroxide. It said that at one point, but then it started saying compressed gas.
Huh.
So I don't know exactly what, or compressed oxygen.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
we don't need to get into the scientifics of it.
Yeah, I'm no scientist.
I won't understand.
I'm not
it
a Nazi
anyway.
scientist.
You're not?
No.
Oh.
Or am I?
Oh.
Over 20.
Got my eye on you.
Over 20 test flights, the team made small changes and improvements, but on the 20th test flight, something went wrong. That flight in February of 1961, the belt got snagged on a tether, and when the tether snapped, Wendell fell 8 feet to the ground, badly fracturing his kneecap.
Oof.
He would never fly his rocket belt again.
Damn. So they never got to the 21 pilot?
I've never listened to them.
Okay.
I know of them.
Yeah. From Columbus. Sorry.
Are they?
Yeah.
Never.
My niece listens to them.
I think I heard like one of their songs on 103, like a few seconds of it, and I was just like, over the next 2 years,
Fucking Nazi.
Bell Aerospace 9 would continue the development of the rocket belt, having Hal Graham be their new test pilot. Graham was a test engineer who
What happened to the last pilot again, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, he fucked up his knees.
So
That's him in the wheelchair. Come on, strap yourself in.
they're just grabbing engineers. Like, they're not grabbing, like,
A pilot or...
I mean, I don't know who you would actually, like, think would be best for this job.
Yeah.
But these are just the engineers that are... Like, these are just, like, the nerds that are making this shit.
Yeah. Probably the only people that would even want to try it. A real
Like,
pilot,
probably.
I can be in a plane or a
Yeah,
helicopter.
no, give me that jet, please.
Yeah. Strap these 3 tanks.
Can I have the proven
of
jet?
whatever it is to my back, and let's go.
Graham was a test engineer who was not a registered pilot, nor had any experience operating a machine besides a car.
But he did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Well, he was, however, a big fan of the rocket belt, having grown up watching Buck Rogers and Commando Cody. You're going to notice throughout this story...
These are the backyard wrestlers of scientists.
Dude, what you're going to notice throughout this story is the fucking just love of jetpacks these people all share. Like, it is... I have never once...
It's really propelling them to do some weird stuff.
Yep. On his first free rocket belt flight, Graham flew for 13 seconds and covered a distance of 112 feet.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So after 28 more flights, Bell was ready to hold a public was ready to hold a public demonstration. The first public rocket belt flight took place on June 8th, 1961, at Fort Eustis, Virginia. Graham ascended 15 feet into the air and made a perfect landing before being mobbed by the press. Graham and the rocket belt were a hit. The public fucking loved it. And Graham ended up making 83 untethered rocket belt flights before his career came to an end in 1962. During a demonstration at Cape Canaveral, Graham fell 22 feet, landed on his head, and was knocked unconscious. He decided to get out of the rocket belt game.
Getting too old for this shit, kid.
Yeah, there seems to be a similar thread of falling.
They don't walk away. You have a falling out.
Yes, even falling down. Bell Aerospace continued to have technicians. Conduct the flights, but they wanted to prove to the U.S. Army that the belt could be piloted by a soldier with minimal training. Because this is the whole point of their thing. Is they're going to sell this to the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
They're going to make a shitload of money off
infantry
of it. But for the Army to get it, yeah, you have to be able to give it to any of the troops, and they have to be able to just take off and use it. So Bell Aerospace found an average 19-year-old kid named William P. Suter, who was about to become the most famous rocket belt pilot in the world. Wendell Moore, the guy that was flying it, would often take, and had worked on it, he would often take the rocket belt home with him. And one day it caught the attention of his 19-year-old neighbor, Bill Suter. Bill was about to drop out of college and join the Army, but Moore had other plans for the young man, asking him if he wanted to have a job. The contract between Bell Aerospace and the U.S. Army simply stated that Bell had to take an average young man and prove that he could be trained to pilot the rocket belt. Moore felt Bill was perfect for the job. Bill Suter was officially hired on the 26th of March, 1964. Suter mastered the rocket belt after 4 months of training.
Wow.
Even with the proof that an average young man could be trained to pilot the machine, it was expensive to run, and flight times and distances were extremely short. So the U.S. Army started limiting their
interest. But it's really cool.
But it's pretty badass.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Like, you'll go like 12 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And then...
You can't jump that high without a jetpack.
Then you usually fall.
Try it.
Right. Yeah, good luck, Army.
Like, sure, it doesn't work very well. It's expensive. It's dangerous. But it looks fucking rad.
Well, like, I mean, maybe that would be, like, if you're not the U.S. Army and you're fighting us,
And you
and
see
you
that.
see a bunch of fucking dudes jumping 15, 20 feet in the air.
That's G.I. Joe shit.
I mean, I guess that might be, like, something that would make them go, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, then, like you said, like, where really are we fighting that we're going to need these?
Yeah, you have planes. You have...
Yeah.
It's
You're just now making yourself a target
It's
in the
just
air.
dudes swinging their dicks, okay? And they're like, what if I could swing my dick from 15 feet in the air with 3 tanks of fucking fuel strapped to me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I feel like if you just, like, propel yourself into the air,
Yeah.
you're just making yourself an easier target.
Like, shoot that guy.
Yeah.
Like, just shoot the tank and you're dead.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is probably a good thing that...
I'm glad it didn't take off. I heard you use that one once. Josh is shaking his head violently no.
I just hurt my neck shaking my head. Bell Aerospace decided to look into entertainment avenues to garner funding. Rocket Belt exhibitions became a part of state fairs and other outdoor events. Suter traveled the world
Of course it did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a state fair thing.
Hurry up, Martha. We're going to miss the goddamn jetpack.
Man's gonna fly. Suter traveled the world piloting the rocket belt while Wendell Moore continued working on designs. Moore even developed the Bell jet belt, using jet engines instead of rocket engines. And his calculations suggested the new belt could reach speeds of 85 miles an hour
Jesus.
and run for up to 25 minutes. Can you imagine just flying through the air, 85 miles an hour?
You can hit a bird and you're done.
Or like, I'm pretty sure even like a big bug would probably fucking...
At least knock you out.
I don't know how fast you're going. Well, even on a motorcycle, you're not going. You're
85.
You're still going the speed limit.
Yeah.
So...
Unless you're an animal.
Right, unless you're a savage. Or a criminal. If you're breaking the law if you're going over the speed limit. During the first test flight in 1969, the pilot of the jet belt reached 25 feet above the ground in speeds of 30 miles an hour. So that's still pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
Like, 25 feet in the goddamn air? No, thank you.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Fuck no. I don't want to go 10 feet in the air.
No.
Yeah. A month later, Wendell Moore died of a heart attack at the age of 51, and the Bell rocket belt would never fly again. Before giving up his employment with Bell, Bill Suter flew the rocket belt in the Bond film Thunderball as one of the 2 stuntmen who piloted the machine. It was shot in 1965, but would be preserved on film forever. So this was that was 4 years before Wendell Moore died.
Okay.
So
he used it in the Bond movie.
Yeah. So, and that was the Bell, rocket bell. So, on the day Suter left Bell Aerospace, he had made 120 rocket belt flights altogether. On the day Bill Suter left Bell Aerospace, someone handed him a photo of a man named Nelson Tyler, who was a film engineer and who had built his own belt at a cost of $15,000. He had ran 70 test flights, but always ran into problems. Suter had recognized Tyler from a meeting at Disneyland and contacted him. He had been doing like a stunt show there, like a little exhibition show, and he remembered this Nelson Tyler is like just constantly pestering him, wanting pictures and all this other stuff. So he reckoned like the kid made an impression on him.
Yeah.
So Suter recognized Tyler, and then he contacted him and offered to help with the belt. Upon arriving in California, Suter began tuning up the belt and making adjustments to get it working. An entertainment promoter named Clyde Balchin, who had worked with Suter before, teamed up with him and Tyler to make entertainment bookings. Over the next decade and a half, the belt made 120 flights with Suter as the pilot the majority of the time.
So 120 flights in 15 years? It's not really...
Yeah.
It's not a whole bunch, but...
Especially because he had made... When he was working for Bell Aerospace, he had made 1,200 flights.
Yeah.
So... But those were a lot of like test flights and like a lot of little, so you don't know how long these were. But yeah, Nelson Tyler, would you like to take a guess as to what he called his belt?
The rocket belt?
The Tyler rocket belt.
The Tyler rocket belt.
Yeah. Suter flew at an NFL Pro Bowl at the World's Fair and once accidentally flew 140 feet up into the air. Don't know if that's true. No one's ever been able to actually confirm that. Yeah. Because that's crazy.
Yeah, I figured there would be footage of that or pictures or something.
Plus accident, like...
That's just him drunk and bragging to some people. Yeah, I love that. At least more Uncle Rico shit.
I mean, the guy with the jetpack, like the actual jets, made it 30 feet in the air. Yeah. And that was pretty fucking crazy. So, like, for him to hit 140...
Jesus.
While preparing for a test flight in Los Angeles, Bill Suter saw construction being done across the street for the 1984 Olympics. Suter remarked to Tyler that it would be fitting if he could end his career as a rocket man with a triumphant rocket belt flight at the Olympics. It was around this time that Suter found out that Clyde Balchkin had been lying about payments and insurance. Mostly that there just wasn't any insurance.
Oh.
So he'd been doing all this flying of a fucking jetpack with no insurance at all. So he was not happy. He quit and moved back home to Youngstown, New York. Tyler immediately hired a stuntman named Kenny, Kinnie, Gibson, who had been Chuck Norris' stunt double on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Chuck Norris don't need no goddamn stunt double, all right? Well, your story's wrong, Josh.
You calling Kenny Gibson a liar?
Oh, man. I didn't know I was going to get this heated tonight. Chuck Norris stunt double. The fuck out. Okay, I'm sorry. So Kenny.
If you want to leave, I understand. So Kenny
and Chuck Norris.
Gibson flew the belt around at demonstrations for a couple of years, but then the Olympics came knocking with an offer to Tyler and Clyde, and the two men didn't think Gibson was ready, so they contacted Bill Suter, who was hesitant, but after some persistence, Tyler and Clyde got him to agree to fly the Tyler rocket belt one last time. Clyde also, so Bill Suter had started working... what's it called? He basically worked for, like, the state government.
Okay.
The housing authority.
All right.
And one of his things was, he was like, well, you know, like, I can't just miss time from this. This is an important job or whatever. So this Clyde guy somehow had a connection to the governor of New York and called him, and the governor agreed to, like, oh, no, it's fine. Bill can have time off.
He owed Clyde a favor.
So Bill got time off from work. Like, I think, and there was a lot of money.
Man, I want to put a vacation in for work to go do a jetpack. Like, I'd love to be here, guys.
Jetpack duty calls.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Yeah, so he gets his time off work. He's going to get some money, and it's the Olympics.
Yeah.
So Bill's back in.
Bills are back in town.
2.5 billion people saw Bill Suter's flight.
Wow.
One of Suter's stipulations had been that Clyde purchase a sufficient insurance policy. But the belt needed repairs, and after raising $10,000 for the repairs, Clyde had no money for insurance. Suter found out after the flight.
Oh, shit.
And was fucking furious.
How did he... He got fooled twice. Shame on him.
But the actual flight at the Olympics was a huge success.
I'm sure it changed his life. I mean,
he says it was like one of the greatest moments of his life because, but
$2.5 billion.
He found out, that there was no insurance. He'd been lied to again. So he promised that he would never fly the Tyler rocket belt again.
Yeah.
After the Olympics, offers came pouring in to Tyler about purchasing the belt. Eventually, Tyler sold it to a theme park in Stockholm, Sweden. Gibson was employed by the park to fly their newly purchased belt, but after a few flights, Gibson had to return to the States to fulfill a stunt contract.
Chuck Norris called, you fucking go running.
And without a pilot, the park had no purpose for the belt.
Like, look at the jetpack. Is someone going to fly it? No. But look at it.
Yeah, so Gibson knew the position they were in.
Yeah.
So he just offered to buy it from them. And they were like, yeah, fuck, sure. We got nothing else we can do with it.
Yeah.
So now Gibson owns the Tyler rocket belt. Gibson immediately realized that the price of compressed nitrogen was more than he was willing to pay. And that's so the compressed gas, compressed oxygen and stuff, that's what they used. Compressed gas, sorry. That's like the main. So, but it was so expensive that he was not going to pay that. So he started using scuba tanks on his jetpack.
Yeah.
So, which is not great. He also bought cheaper. H2O2, which I think is hydrogen peroxide, maybe, from a German company, but it had stabilizing agents in it, making it highly unpredictable. During his first flight, the belt immediately sputtered out, and Gibson fell, breaking both his knee and the belt.
Oh.
He sued the German chemical company and won $250,000 in a settlement.
Take that, Nazis!
As a result, chemical companies stopped selling H2O2 to individuals, a change that would affect all future rocket belt builders.
Oh, man.
This is why me and you don't have a rocket belt right now. Because of this motherfucker. Thanks a lot, Gibson. After Canny. After recovering from his knee injury and repairing the rocket belt and building his own H2O2 lab, Gibson looked to his two friends, Brad Barker and Larry Stanley, for help. Brad Barker was a good-looking dude with charm and charisma, but also a volatile temper. He was a wanderer who rarely kept a job for long. He had met Gibson back when he was 20, and the two were best men in each other's weddings. They got into a few different ventures together. Barker bought a Cessna airplane, and they would fly around. While Gibson had been out in Hollywood becoming a successful stuntman, Brad had stayed behind in Houston, worked a bunch of shitty jobs, and got divorced. Brad had also become obsessed with rocket belts ever since he saw one in Thunderball.
No.
Now he was working on one with his best friend, so this was pretty fucking cool for Brad.
That's the life he wanted.
This is what he wants, man. Brad was...
after divorce, he just wants something good in his life, just something positive. Like something where he can be like, man, maybe life isn't awful. Maybe it isn't terrible. Me and my best friend working on a jetpack.
So you want to work on a jetpack?
Yep. Maybe this podcast is our jetpack.
Wow, man. That's deep.
You lift me up, Josh.
Let's change the name of this podcast.
Again?
Yes. To the Jetpack Cast. Look, man, I haven't worked on the name yet. All right?
Okay, we gotta work on it.
We gotta work on that.
Sorry.
Brad was proficient in working on the rocket belt, but for help with the compressed oxygen lab, Gibson turned to Larry Stanley. The three worked well together, but Larry was 10 years older and never became quite as close to the other two as they were with each other.
Third wheel.
However, they were friendly enough that Brad loaned Larry his Cessna plane on several occasions. However, once he had loaned Larry the plane, and when he started trying to figure out where it was and he needed it, and he was like, Larry had it for a little while, and he was like, hey man, what the fuck? He couldn't locate the plane, he couldn't locate Larry. So he ended up contacting the authorities. According to Barker,
snitched on him?
According to Barker,
damn,
the FBI told him that Larry Stanley had long been suspected as a drug trafficker, and that his plane was probably loaded down with pot on it somewhere. It turned out that the plane was in Seattle, and Larry had made a number of modifications to it. Like he,
it's a boat now?
No, he added basically storage space
for drugs.
So it was it was pretty obvious that it was being used for drug smuggling. To retrieve the plane from the Seattle hangar, Barker would have to pay off a $30,000 bill for the modifications, and he didn't have that kind of money. He ended up just having to sell the plane and then use the money he made off the plane to pay off the bill.
Damn.
Which, I mean, I don't know if that actually. So if you owe $30,000 for the plane, if your other option is to sell the plane just to be able to pay off
Why
not getting
leave
it. I'd just be like, I guess they have it now.
Yeah, unless you get like $50,000 for it, then you can still make $20,000.
Well,
I don't know what planes go for.
Whatever he paid them after he sold it, whatever he paid them, he didn't have any money left.
Oh yeah,
so he was left with nothing.
I'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah, Barker couldn't find Larry anywhere, so he was not cool with Larry Stanley anymore. Gibson and Larry had also had a falling out. Gibson had agreed to invest thousands of dollars into Larry's family's oil field in return for 50% of the profits. Larry Stanley ended up saying Gibson hadn't fulfilled his contract completely, so there would be no return on investment. The two terminated the contract and began to feud. So Larry has just quickly
pissing them
made
off.
himself enemy number one in the Rocket Belt game. In the early 90s, Gibson and Barker were still working together, but Gibson had traveled to the Philippines to do stunt work on a film. Barker received a phone call from Gibson's wife, Sherry. According to Sherry, Larry Stanley had broken into Gibson's storage unit in Houston and stolen some of the Rocket Belt equipment. Turns out, Larry Stanley was also a really big fan of the Rocket Belt because he had seen it one time flown at a event he was at. So he's also obsessed with the Rocket Belt.
These guys need to get a life.
Yeah.
It's like they've never seen boobs.
Barker immediately... Boobs are way better.
Oh, so much better.
Barker immediately flew to Houston. Once there, Barker called up a friend, a black belt karate instructor named Rob Fisher. Barker, Fisher, Sherry, and Gibson's two brothers drove out to the Stanley oil fields to find Larry. Instead, they found Bernie Robinson, a hired hand who had been a Navy SEAL. Stanley had warned him that trouble may be coming. According to Barker, as soon as they stepped out of their vehicle, Robinson took a swing at Fisher and then ran for his car to retrieve a pistol.
Oh, damn.
But Barker claims, quote, Rob Fisher went into his karate routine and in literally 3 or 4 seconds just beat the shit out of this Navy SEAL.
Damn.
According to Robinson, though, he never actually even threw a punch. The 4 men just immediately knocked him to the ground.
Yeah.
And then 3 of them held him down while Barker stood over him with a baseball bat. He says that Barker began hitting him in the legs with a bat while asking, "Where's Larry Stanley?" Robinson replied, "He isn't here," which Barker replied with, "That's a shame. I'm very upset with Larry Stanley, and I'd like to hit him some." Then Larry Stanley pulled up in his car.
Man, sometimes you wish for something, it just shows up.
"Stanley," said Barker, "I'm going to ask you one time where Gibson's equipment is, and if you don't tell me, you're not going to like what happens." Stanley took Barker to a storage unit where Barker recovered Gibson's equipment. Barker never mentioned the $30,000 debt due to the Cessna plane and instead just quietly packed up the equipment and took it back to California. Weird dude.
So no one even got...
Very loyal, though.
I'm waiting for some murder here.
Barker and Gibson continued to work together on the Rocket Belt. Gibson won a contract to fly the belt on Michael Jackson's Bad Tour. At the end of every performance, Gibson and MJ would switch places, and Gibson would blast off into the air, creating the illusion that the King of Pop was flying. Gibson was paid $25,000 plus expenses for each flight.
Damn.
Making almost $1 million from the tour. And this
That's bad.
So Barker's helping him with the Rocket Belt. He's whatever. But Gibson's out here just making bank.
Yeah.
So, because he knows how to pilot it.
Yeah.
And he's holding back a little bit of information too. So he then won a contract to fly the Jetpack at 20 different Disney World events. While performing for one of these events, Gibson accidentally damaged the belt. A piston in the belt shot out of one of the valves due to high pressure and flew over Gibson's shoulder and lodged into a wall. The piston was the key to the Rocket Belt's design, but it was severely damaged. So Gibson contacted Barker and asked him to get the piston to Houston immediately since it couldn't be repaired in Orlando. So Barker's there in Orlando. This happens. Gibson tells him, "Hey, you got to get to Houston. There's specialists there that can fix this. You got to get it there. You got to get it back to me.
Houston, we got a problem
by tomorrow." And Houston, we got a problem in Orlando. Barker took the piston to Houston, but realized along the way how important this piece must be to the rocket belt design.
Yeah.
So he made sure to measure and record its dimensions. Like, he studied the shit of this thing, wrote down everything he could about it. He had it repaired and returned in time for the performance, and never let on about his newfound interest in the rocket belt now that he knew what its secret was. An old friend of Brad's showed up shortly after. His name was Joe Wright. He was just 29, but was a well-established and successful businessman. While visiting with Brad, he was thrilled that he was getting to check out the rocket belt. Brad and Joe were caught by Gibson photographing and videotaping the belt. They were definitely doing it for research purposes. And he wasn't thrilled about it. He told them that the design of the belt was top secret. Wright, and he basically told Wright that he needed to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed in there. But he was
get protective about their jetpack belts.
He was still pretty cool with Barker, though.
Yeah.
They were friends. They'd been friends for a while, so other than the annoyance. But Barker and Wright stayed in contact. A few weeks went by, and Wright received a phone call from Barker, who said he was having problems with Gibson. Barker often...
Kenny?
Kenny. Hey, Kenny. Barker often brought his son to work, and Gibson was complaining that the kid disrupted their work. He told Wright that they had been arguing about this for a while, and that he could no longer work for Gibson. Wright drove to Orlando and brought Brad and his son back to Houston. Barker immediately told Wright that he was going to build his own rocket belt.
Ooh.
He said that he told Wright that he'd only been working with Gibson for the money, that he had played along as long as he needed to figure out how to work this thing.
Yeah.
And now that he knew, he was just going to build his own rocket belt.
Fuck you, Kenny.
Yeah.
Fuck you and Chuck Norris. How about that?
He knew the secret component of the belt and had been involved with it enough that he decided he could overcome the challenge of actually building one from scratch. Up to this point, only 2 people have ever actually built it. What's his name back in the day? Moore?
Yeah.
And then Tyler.
Yeah.
So Tyler Nelson. Those are the only dudes that have actually built one.
And it took a lot of test runs.
Everybody else just bought it or got it somehow. He, of course, had Wright on board, but knew the 2 of them still needed help and a financial backer. So he called Larry Stanley.
Oh.
Even though they had bad history, Brad felt that Stanley owed him anyway, so he contacted Stanley and told him that the oil field thing was all Gibson's deal. He also told him that he had a falling out with Gibson, and that he had knowledge that would help them build a rocket belt, and they could make millions from it, while getting back at Gibson at the same time. Larry was in.
I love revenge.
Yeah, Larry
loves revenge.
Yes.
I know this.
Larry had his doubts about Brad still, though. After all, Brad had threatened him with a baseball bat and had attacked one of his employees just months before. Barker had his reservations about Stanley as well. He'd stolen his plane and Gibson's equipment, and was likely involved in drug trafficking. Despite both men doubting the other, the allure of the rocket belt, the potential
Fucking
money,
nerds, man,
and being able to fuck over Gibson was enough for them to work together. Stanley told Barker that if he let him in on the rocket belt project, he would pay him back what he owed him for the plane. And the 2 made an agreement to start working together. And that is part 1 of the Jetpack Murder.
So does it go really well from here?
So, from here, shit does not go well for anyone.
That's why I'm glad I never got to that jetpack life.
Never got in that jetpack game.
I've been thinking about it.
I
It's so
feel-
weird that you brought this episode up.
Have you ever watched American Dad at all?
Not really.
So there's a running joke through American Dad.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what season it starts in, but there's so Roger, the alien of the show, there's an episode where he, I forget, I don't know what happens, but he ends up shitting behind in a bush, but it's this gold shit, and it's encrusted with jewels and diamonds.
What?
So then somebody finds it.
Yeah.
And they're with somebody else. It's these 2 guys, some sort of workers. They're there to repair something.
Uh huh.
and the one finds it, and like he just stares down at it, and it's like the glow of it's like glowing off his face.
Yeah.
And when the other one like comes over to ask him what it is, he ends up like murdering that guy. Well, so now throughout the series, like so whatever season that was, like it started in like 2 or 3. The series is up to like season 15 at this point, I think 14 or whatever. Well, just randomly throughout the series, somebody will like this thing keeps moving from person to person.
Oh yeah.
And every time somebody new gets it, it drives them like they can't have anybody else around it.
Yeah.
And like they're whatever, and that's what this rocket belt
what
reminds me so much of. It's just like this precious rocket belt.
I'm the one with the jetpack.
Yeah, I have all the power.
I can go 30 feet in the air.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I have to figure out how to test it first.
If I don't break my knees.
So yeah, it's just this. It gets there's this weird.
Well, there's a lot of money involved too. It sounds like so.
It seems like the person that controls the jetpack controls the state fair circuit.
I'm allergic to jetpacks.
And if you're controlling the state fair circuit,
Yeah.
you are wealthy. So yeah, so we will be back.
I look forward to part 2.
Part 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the conclusion.
I think
It should be. It's a good story, but there's a
Cool.
lot of fucking chaos.
I'll do 3 parts.
Yeah. So all right.
We're
So
the
that's
jetpack podcast now.
Yes.
We've already decided that. I'll jetpack all the time.
so that's part 1. So
All
what
right.
do you got, man? You got some would you rather?
I have some would you rather. Okay.
You wrote ma'am at the top.
Middle aged and mediocre.
Oh, we're ma'am.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I was gonna
Alright.
do it like in the mad font, you know.
Mhm.
Ma'am.
All right, man. What do you
All
got?
right. Would you rather have to write with your non-dominant hand, or never have any spaces in anything you read?
I mean, me writing with my non-dominant hand is more somebody else's problem than mine.
I like to write fast. I feel like I can't write fast with my left hand. Like the ideas come better, and I think when I kind of can write.
Oh
fast,
yeah, I mean, I physically can't write with my left
Yeah.
hand. I mean,
or never have spaces in anything.
yeah, I
you
just never
read.
have spaces in anything I read.
It's so hard to read.
That's be fine.
All right.
Yeah, I can read through shit.
Made your choice. It was the wrong one.
You told me there was no
Get
wrong
this
answers.
one and you're off the island. All right. Would you rather, if you get it wrong, only be able to get a gallon of gas at a time,
Okay.
or drink everything out of a shot glass? I did the straw before, so this one's a little different.
Well, I mean, my 20s, I already lived through the only
A gallon at a
gallon of
time.
gas at a time.
Oh, I would hate that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're digging out change,
Then you're eating peanut butter and you're like, I just want some milk, and you just gotta be like,
so
a
you
little
only,
shot of milk. That I mean, you can keep pouring it, but every
but
drink,
it has to be a shot.
yeah, you drink it one shot at a time.
It's super annoying. Still, that's way better than having
hot
to
at
just
the gym.
stop, get out,
Yeah,
get the gas pump turned on.
I think I'd rather do the gas thing.
I'd rather do the shot
I
thing.
answered before you. Oh, you'd rather do the shot thing.
Yeah, man, like that's a lot less pain in the ass. I feel,
Yeah, you'd be getting gas like every fucking day.
dude. Do you not like? Do you remember being like?
I didn't really have a car until I was like 20 something, and I just feel like I don't know, like gas. I always did pretty good. With
I just
gas.
remember like even when I was like before. I mean, I got my license young,
12?
16, 17,
All right.
however it is when you
Yeah.
first get it. But like, I mean, I remember riding around with like my buddies that had a car first, and they didn't have money either. So
Yeah.
we were always just scraping together change.
It was like $1 something a gallon.
If
so,
you could get like $1 worth of gas, you were doing great.
yeah,
So yeah, I've already lived that life.
so you're gonna do the shots.
Yeah, I'll
Shot,
do the
shot,
shots.
shot, shot.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a pain in the
Alright.
ass, but I'll do that.
That
You
was-
drink.
That was the right answer. So I'm glad
I
you
feel
got
like
that
you
one
drink
right.
a lot less.
Yeah, that's true. You would drink
Like
a lot
especially if you
less.
drink like soda and shit like that, you wouldn't drink as much of it.
Pop. Soda pop. All right. Would you rather never be able to watch the last 15 minutes of a movie, or never be able to read the last chapter of a
Oh
book?
man.
Tough one. His head exploded. There's blood everywhere. Call the help.
You know, okay.
Call the help.
This is actually not that hard.
Okay.
I would rather never like the last chapter of the book.
You'd rather not be able to read the last chapter of any book?
Yeah, because you know what the last chapter of any book always is?
What?
Just some random follow up to
Yeah.
the actual ending.
That's true.
Yeah,
For
loophole.
the most part.
Loophole.
Yeah. But I think every now and then you might come to that book where the last chapter is something important.
Yeah, I've read a lot of books. That last chapter is always just.
I'm gonna start.
Here, one of these
I'm
days.
gonna start.
One of these days.
Yep.
I have a Calvin and Hobbes I can loan you.
Nah.
It's a good start.
That was it. That was the three of them.
Yeah, I would. Because a movie, like, there's some shit that goes down in the last 15 minutes.
Bruce Willis is dead that whole fucking time.
Die Hard?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Die Hard.
John McClane was a ghost?
Yep.
Holy fuck. I just got it.
See? It really is a Christmas movie.
Wow.
No, The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I know you know. Oh, God. That was good.
That'd be great if that was what... Like, somebody comes out, they're like, actually, all of Bruce Willis' movies, he's been dead the whole time.
He's dead.
Bruce Willis died in 1964.
He dead.
Yeah. The actual man.
Bruce Will is dead. I don't know.
Bruce Willie. So, yeah.
I got a bruised Willie. I don't.
Take it easy on it, man.
Okay.
You don't gotta be so rough. Next week, we'll be back with part 2.
Yep.
And then we might... we're going to start a new thing if there's enough interest in it. Our buddy Victor Lovett, also known as Vic Victory.
Vicious.
Vic
Victory.
Victory. He's got a ghost story that he wants to share.
Yep.
So we're going to figure out the best way to do that. But I thought if there was enough interest and people were into it, every once in a while, if somebody has a story they want to share, they can send it in, and we'll read it.
If it's mediocre enough.
Right. All you got to do is, it's just, we set a low bar.
Very low.
But yeah, it could be like, if there's a true crime story that you think's particularly awesome.
There's a lot of dick in it. That's going to help your
Look, the more opportunity for pee hole.
Yep.
Ooh. Imagine, like, if your pee hole could force out enough propulsion that if you just, like, laid on your stomach, you could jetpack up.
yourself up.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it later.
Jetpack myself off.
I'm going to try it as soon as this episode ends.
Are
Right
you?
here. Right here.
Right here, right now.
Right here in your room.
This podcast, this episode is never ending.
Oh, I'm just going to start.
I can't handle that.
I'm just going to start.
But yeah, so that should be kind of cool. We got Vic sent me the audio.
Uh-huh.
And I started listening to the story. It's pretty good.
Cool.
But I think we might have him send it to me so I can read it because the audio is a little weird. I just don't know how it's going to play out. But yeah, so if you guys have like
start typing, Vic.
Yeah, start getting your fingers working. Yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh, so we might start doing that. We'll see how it goes. See if there's any interest in it.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be kind of cool if we could get like a little community going where everybody's sharing stories.
A little interaction.
Yeah, and eventually, once I get a better podcast space, I was talking to you about it. Bring some people in.
Yeah.
See if
Don't let them leave.
Don't let them leave.
Nope.
Basically, we're going to make a dungeon.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool.
I like it.
Then we'll start a dungeon podcast.
Cool. Dungeon of Doom.
We're going to have 14 podcasts by the end of this year.
Woo! 2020.
So, hey, if you guys dig the podcast, if you want to help support us, there's a few ways you can do that. You can share and like all of our stuff on Spotify. You can, I guess, if you hit the favorite thing or if you just listen to it helps us.
Yep.
Yeah, share the links, though. Tell your friends. There's a button on anchor.fm/middle-aged-mediocre where you can support the podcast. And I believe it's like $1, $2, $5, whatever it is. If anyone does that, I will draw you a monster.
Ooh, cool.
I have these little brown paper bag-ish type index cards.
Yeah.
And I'll draw you...
Awesome.
I'll draw you like a personalized monster.
We got shirts and stuff.
So Joel's been working diligently on the middle-aged mediocre shirts. We've already got a few people claiming them. Yeah. But we're going to keep making them. So if anybody wants one of those, if you go and support the podcast, you will definitely get a shirt. But if you just want a shirt, let us know. Yeah. If you want to give us a few bucks for it, that'd be badass. Yeah. If you don't, just wearing it's pretty awesome. Yeah. So
support us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Please just tell people about it. If you enjoy the podcast, listen to it in public and laugh.
Yeah.
And then when people ask you what you're listening to, tell them. That'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just let people listen to random bits about decapitated heads and people eating penises.
Sure.
Yeah. Anything
Play it for your
else?
grandma. Listeners, go out and find your own personal jetpack, whatever it is.
Yeah, man, whatever
and
it
just
is.
let it kill you.
And obsess over it.
Write a story about it and we'll read it.
Until bad things happen.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to our buddies, one of our top listeners, top fans.
Yeah.
Brandon Fool.
Oh, yeah, Brandon Fool.
Brandon and Remington Hitchcock do a really great podcast called Dueling Ogres. You guys can check that out. It's one of my go-tos whenever I'm at work and need something to get me through.
Yeah.
Those two dudes are pretty hilarious. They've got 160 some episodes,
Yeah,
something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were checking out one earlier. So yeah, go support them as well. And I think that's all I got, man. You got a comedy show coming up or anything?
Nope.
Nope, nothing coming up. You just kind of been doing random ones, right?
Yeah.
Like you just been
here and there.
hitting them up last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
exciting.
But whatever. You can follow. What's it on Facebook? Parkersburg Comedy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I do have I have a open mic coming up March 16th, Stone Cold Day in Marietta.
Oh yeah, that's
Ohio.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Writers Workshop March 11th at the library.
Which library? Wood County?
Yeah, Wood County Library. So on Lakeview.
Yeah, we're doing that. I forgot. I'm pretty stoked for that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that
I
is.
don't either. But
what time is it?
7:00 at the library on the 11th. And then 7:00 at the Adelphia in Marietta on the 16th for the open mic.
And that's a free show, right?
Yeah. So theoretically, you can come to the writer's workshop, work on some jokes, and then, test them out on stage 5 days later in Marietta.
Yeah, so there you go.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, free comedy show.
Yeah.
March 16th, Stone Cold Day.
Marietta,
at the Adelphia. So Adelphia is a pretty cool venue. That's awesome that you're going to get to do. You'll be able to do an open mic there. So yeah, that is it for us tonight, guys. Thanks for listening as always, and we will be back next week with part 2 of the Jetpack Murder.
Cool. Bye.